Classic Game Room is brought to you by Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, Book 1, and Jesus the Coked Up Chicken Number 1, Special Edition, now on Amazon.
Back Classic Game Room on Patreon!
Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the Intergalactic Space Arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Welcome to Classic Game Room for the review of Super Thunder Blade on the Sega Genesis, and I'll be playing this with the Allen 9000 modified Sega Genesis 6-button arcade stick, which is hard to miss. Also, it has a boat horn. Super Thunder Blade from 1989, one of the early Genesis releases. I remember this game when it was new. Loved it, and revisiting it many years later, it's still fun and extremely challenging. It's one of the Sega flying in circle flight games, like Afterburner or Space Harrier Galaxy Quest 2. Wait, no, I'm sorry, I'm still hoping for a Galaxy Quest 2. Galaxy Force 2. Someone needs to get on a Galaxy Quest 2. We need that right now. Woo! Super Thunder Blade has a lot in common with a couple other Sega arcade games, most notably Afterburner and Galaxy Force 2 and Space Harrier. So you move in pretty much the same way each time. You just go in circles so that nothing hits you. And what Super Thunder Blade does is it mixes up the gameplay and the levels so that while you continue just flying in circles, you have to avoid different things, like pillars, trees, caves, or whatever. But if you stop flying in circles, you die. So that's rule number one when playing this game or Afterburner, Galaxy Force 2, Space Harrier. Never stop flying in circles. Just look at what I'm doing. Going down and left, up and right. That's no exaggeration. That is exactly what you do in this game. You just fly in circles and avoid things, which gets far more challenging, especially level 2, which I find particularly difficult. In between levels, there's this pseudo top-down vertical scrolling shooter segment, except unlike most of these games, and unlike the first Thunder Blade, you can't fly around the screen, so you just keep going left and right. You just sweep the enemies left and right and try not to fly into their fire. In addition to machine gunning enemies and shooting missiles at them, your helicopter also comes equipped with a brake. Now, unlike most games where I say that braking is for cowards, in Super Thunder Blade you need your brake to survive. It is not cowardly to use your brake in Super Thunder Blade. Otherwise you will crash right into things. Notice that inside the cave, I'm still flying in circles, but I'm slowing down as to not crash into the pillars. A technique that you'll use in all the levels in this game where there's stuff in your way. Flying in circles, just flying in circles. I will let the homing missiles do what homing missiles do. Home on things and destroy them. When this game was new, it was visually spectacular. I remember my friend had this and it was just amazing. There you go. But playing it again after all these years, I actually think the first Thunder Blade is a more innovative game. Yay, some bonus points. Alright, the top-down sections in Super Thunder Blade are the low point of the game, for sure. They break up the flying segments, but they really don't add all that much once you figure out the pattern. Here's level 3, which has a great-looking sunset in the background, and you're fighting helicopters and boats. It's a cool game. But of the group that I mentioned, Afterburner, Space Harrier, Galaxy Force 2, and Super Thunder Blade, this is probably the weakest of the bunch. And that's not to say it's bad. Oh no! I crashed into a building. I was distracted by the glittery power of the Allen 9000. It's just not quite as good as those other ones, and it's hard to put a finger on why. Maybe because it's a helicopter and that finger would get chopped right off. Ooh, it's a giant flying space aircraft carrier thing, of course. We'll blow this up for fun and move on to the next level, which is quite challenging. Oh, it's a cave level. Alright, this one's tough. You have to continue crashing into things. I like this game, but I don't love it as much as Afterburner. However, if you like those other games I've mentioned, and you have a Sega Genesis, which of course you should, Super Thunder Blade is dirt cheap. It's an early release, there's a lot of these out there. This one won't cost you more than just a couple bucks. That's right, I'm confusing all of you by flying in circles. If you ever double back in this game, like change directions mid-circle, you're dead. Instantly. Don't ever do that. I tried doing that earlier and it was bad. There's a few difficulty settings. You can change your player stock. It's a tough game that packs that good late 80s, early 90s Sega Genesis or Mega Drive style. What I like most about it is that it reminds me of those days that my friend and I would spend playing Super Thunder Blade back in the day. It's got such a wonderful Sega style. I love the robot end boss here. You cannot defeat my circle motion fly. Oh. They figured me out that time. If you like any of those other games I mentioned, add this one to your collection at once. It's Super Thunder Blade. Classic Game Room is brought to you by Ethel the Cyborg Ninja, Book 1, and Jesus the Coked Up Chicken #1, Special Edition, now on Amazon. Welcome to the Lord Carnage Club, being shouted from within. A Turbo Volcano! Starting with Andy and Abby Schleiss. Jeff Breyer. Derek Langley. Michael and Ariana Nelson. Benjamin Woodring. Steven Chucknick. Al Stever. Ian Shore. You sure are awesome. Jason Goy. Sergio Matthias Hergert. Chip Sink Bale. Busy Signal. Sean Zoltek. Rick DeBarros. Philip Strabenmuller. Jack Stavris. Ohad Kane. And Tiago Pereira dos Santos Silva from Porto, Portugal. Tiago Pereira dos Santos Silva from Porto, Portugal.